Hi YouTube, welcome to another one of my videos. Today's one kind of started out a little bit different, but I'm going to kind of cover an issue on my own neutrality when it comes to it and the interesting things I do have to say. But looking at it again, let's look at it from a neutral standpoint. Neutrality itself from a neutral standpoint. Looking at it again, it does have my own limits. As much as I want to present myself as a mediator to both sides, as much as I want to present myself as a person that is let's say someone in the middle between two sides. As much as I want to do that, I am still prone to making mistakes. I'm still human. I have a lot of issues that are going on with me too. And I do want to note this, yeah, for any future videos, if anyone sees my neutrality as inconsistent or with bias, please do let me know. Because what I've seen here is there's definitely a situation where someone could mistake my neutrality as avoiding responsibility to a situation, or they could also mistake it as someone that's trying to sidestep responsibility. That's not what I'm trying to do. Because my right now, y'all, I'm still redefining that major traits of me. Because for me, y'all, major trait of neutrality, that is something that is very much keen and dear to me. So I'm still learning how to kind of redefine a lot of it as it is when it comes to understanding both sides of a story, especially when I understand its implications too. I accept all of the risks that could happen, especially when it comes to strawman fallacies. It's because even though I may provide an approach that could appeal to both sides, an approach that appeases to both sides, ultimately speaking, there will still be components of either side, whether that be entrenched or not entrenched in their points, calling me out that I'm sidestepping or doing any of that. No, that is not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do with neutrality here is definitely to look at two sides of the story and understand what's happening, why, and what's the oh, oh my god, bro, hold on. I've already put this on like my startup. No one ain't seeing that one. But what's really interesting though when it comes to neutrality, I can definitely be confused with someone who's trying to avoid responsibility. But please do not confuse me with that because I'm still kind of redefining and refining my role as a person that holds keen to neutrality right here. So it can definitely get really confusing at times. So if my neutrality chat, if it ever gets confusing at times, please let me know in the comments for any future videos because I do want to make sure that I'm still in line with my own beliefs. But then again, when it comes to it, y'all, when it comes to, let's say, I believe this was a Potimer situation last time. Once evidence releases about a side, let's say that this is a side that's about allegations and accusations, like there's a side where someone's being accused of something. First, I would usually take a neutral stance, like see why are they doing this and why are they doing that. But then once the evidence comes out, once a valid evidence that's given to this side that comes out, obviously we'll eventually have to stand up for what's right. Even though each side may be inflammatory, we will have to stand up to what is right. Ultimately, neutrality is also about standing for good values, standing up for what's right. Once there's evidence about a situation that comes up, if this was about the Potimer one too, once we um once we find evidence, eventually our neutral grounds of neutrality will eventually lose ground. We'll all eventually have to take a side event after a while. But looking at it again, when it covers to other issues such as punitive punishment and forgiveness, especially when it comes to me covering an intensely hotly debated topic such as, let's say, that topic that I said, let's say talking about abuse, and then we apply both sides, punitive punishment versus rehabilitation and punitive punishment. I really think is interesting here is that as much as I want to make a balanced approach, it's definitely a very delicate balance of balancing on both sides together, because yes, I will get strong emotional reactions from both sides. There will be people that will call me for sidestepping responsibility or not taking a more emboldened approach. But ultimately, neutrality is about standing up for. It's not standing up. It's for looking at two sides and saying what's the cause and effect. Because the thing is, each case of abuse differs case by case. All right, when it comes to it, this may have that factor in, or this situation may not have that factor in. So my neutrality and levels for any situation for that matter, it's going to have to be adjusted slightly, may have to be slightly adjusted going to each situation, whether that be the hotly debated topics such as abuse, or whether that be more petty topics such as is this or that better, like is water wet. All right, obviously speaking, I will have to adjust the way I respond to things. But then again, it's a very delicate balance. Neutrality, even though at its key core, it's about seeing two sides. It's definitely about a delicate balance too, especially when it comes to a lot of things. Releasing a video that covers on neutrality definitely taxes on my mind a lot, especially when it comes to challenging even my own beliefs. So that's why, when it comes to looking at taking neutral stances on a lot of issues today, it's definitely gonna take time. All right. As much as I am intrinsically and intuitively neutral and introspective, I still have we still have that charge up. We still have to kind of charge away and wait for reactions after I cover this situation or that situation. So that means when it comes to each issue, y'all, ultimately, if there is evidence for this side, we'll have to stand up for what's right. But then again, if it comes to an issue versus punitive punishment, what say forgiveness, I think it does get kind of challenging here, is because even though as much as we want to provide points for both sides and look at the complexity of each side's validity, uh, it definitely gets interesting and complex to a point, because yes, I will definitely receive threats pointing out my side as something that is, let's say, going to one extreme, or misconstructing my side that says go into one extreme. Let's say on this situation, I say let's say on this just a random situation. Let's say I'm talking about traditionalism versus not forgiveness, traditionalism versus autonomy. If I speak about the autonomy side too much, if I speak about the traditional side too much of a situation, my point might be misconstructed as, why don't you go my point wait my point might be misinstructed or misconstructed as appealing to the other side, appealing to one side too much. If I cover out on an issue, let's say I use ambiguous words, all right, and still need to tell y'all that I do make mistakes. I am still human like any other side taker. There we still make mistakes, all right. Ultimately, when it comes to any situation for that matter, everyone's human. We all have a reason behind our own motives. We have a reason behind what sides we take, especially neutrality too. But when it comes to it, someone can definitely misconstruct my point and misconstruct it into a straw man fallacy. I can't prove an example right now, since I still want to make this video as fast as possible. But let's say I'm covering out on, let's say, autonomy versus traditionalism. If I cover the complexities of traditionalism too much and agree with it, someone might misconstruct me as leaning, or someone might misconstruct me as supporting this side more than that side. All right. Of course, I'll cover each fallacy if one ever appears, or if I can make up one, I'll definitely cover it. But there's definitely a risk that comes to that. Taking neutral points on a lot of emotionally charged issues does require time too. It takes time to look at it from an emotionally detached perspective, especially when you go into cases of, let's say, abuse. How I'm going to cover each situation like that, if I do ever cover any form. Let's say one of my high school friends are facing abuse right now. Let's say they want it to be publicized. They want to say my view on it. Like, if someone ever requests me something like that, or someone ever requests me to cover this case of abuse or that case of abuse, it's definitely going to be a little bit challenging, because we're still going to have to look into all our research, see what's our key points, what's this side saying, and what's that side saying. Definitely, when it comes to neutral videos, it definitely takes a lot of time. All right. Even though I am intrinsically a neutral and introspective person, I think I said that before, it definitely, when it comes to big boy topics, it's definitely going to be a bit of a challenge. It's definitely a bit of a delicate balance. I won't make everyone happy taking a neutral standpoint, but ultimately speaking, I am not infallible. Neither side is infallible. I am not higher than any other side. Your side or that side is not any higher than this side or this side or my side. Each of all three sides to a story, especially on its neutral view, they're all can set them equal to each other. We can definitely find a lot of meaningful dialogue. But ultimately speaking, we do have to stand up for what's right if there's evidence that releases about, let's say, any given issue. But when it comes to an ambiguous issue where there's no right or wrong answer, I believe this one was versus doing it before marriage or doing it after, or during, after or during marriage. Again, that's a pretty ambiguous issue right there. There's no clear cut right or wrong answer, because looking at it from an detached emotional perspective, looking at it if I was a neutral person, it's definitely looking at it if I didn't have my, like, because I'm Catholic too, we also, I definitely have that belief of you should not do this before marriage. Looking at it from a detached perspective, looking at, again, there's definitely an ambiguity. There's kind of like a gray area when it comes to looking at both sides. But even then, I do unfortunately have to simplify a few things in a lot of my videos, and that can also be misconstructed as not taking or looking into the complexity of each issue. So then again, my neutrality and my redefining skills for it are still they're still in, it's kind of still in work right now. So I won't have the perfect points when it comes to a lot of things. I won't be able to please everyone either. So I'm still kind of in that self discovery process right now. But looking at both sides, hold on. Looking at both sides of a story, it's definitely gonna be a little bit of a challenge. So maybe the videos I'll post on this neutrality channel, or however whatever I want to post, is definitely gonna be set like a few days apart. But then again, when it comes to my points, they're not infallible. Someone can still it's not perfect. All right, not everyone's. I'm not always gonna be able to craft the curated response. I'm not always gonna be able to craft the response that makes me balance on all sides. I'm eventually set to make mistakes. Alright? So if that ever happens, someone do please tell me so I can redefine or call out my mistakes in maybe the comments of that video. Other than that, guys, thanks for watching. I know this camera right here definitely looking a little bit wobbly, so if I'm like looking at this right here, I do not mean to be condescending or anything like that. Just this computer camera's kind of mounted up, so I have to look up a little bit more. But other than that, guys, when it comes to the next issues, I don't know what the next one that I'm gonna talk about. Maybe put it in the comments, but make sure to like and subscribe, or don't. And I'll see you guys in the next video.